As we head to closure this morning, we've got next up the director of Salaam Foundation, Azhar Vadi, with us. We also will be talking with Munira Osman from Amal about their outreach program, offering free advice, legal tax, accounting, and before that, Salam Foundation and Colors of Hope will be hosting Gaza's medical doctor Basel Abuwarda in South Africa from the 14th to the 22nd of February. And to tell us more, we're joined by Director at Salam Foundation, Azhar Vadi. Azhar, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Wonderful catching up with you once again.
Walaikum salam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Inayat, Jazakallah khairan to you and to all the guys at Salam Media for hosting us.
Yes, wonderful, and alhamdulillah, a lovely, a great initiative once again on the part of Salam Foundation, together with Colors of Hope. Alhamdulillah, Gaza medical doctor. We know what is happening in Gaza. We know what had happened when we had Professor or Dr. Max Gilbert with us as well. And really, this is another huge, it's another massive event, but it's also a must-attend event, Azhar.
Absolutely, Inayat. Continuous rolling activism and getting the message out and speaking about it and talking about it and being part of the resistance against the occupation, illegal occupation of Palestinian lands. This is something that must continue. It's not just for a period of time, it's unprecedented. In fact, when the entire thing started out on the 7th of October, I think much of the world expected, like in previous encounters and attacks on the Gaza Strip by the apartheid state of Israel, we found that in a month or perhaps 2 months, sometimes at the most, and things begin to settle down. But here we have an ongoing situation. Despite the negotiations that are underway, there's no clear sight of an ending in any way whatsoever. And that means we have got to continue as peace-loving and members of society around the world. In South Africa, taking the lead, obviously, with our recent court action, and other people, global players around the world. We've got to continue. Sometimes we get tired, but until we see justice prevailing, this is something that we must engage in and we must put our full efforts behind.
Yes, like you mentioned, sometimes we get tired, but we need to continue with the momentum. It must not be lost for one moment, because considering what is happening in Gaza, and it's important that to have people like Basel Abuwarda coming to South Africa to continue, so that we maintain that momentum. But just give us perhaps an insight into Dr. Basel Abuwarda, and also in terms of just some of the thinking behind bringing him here to South Africa.
Well, Dr. Basel Abuwarda has been quite a well-known figure in the Palestinian online presence over the last, 7 to 10 years. He's been one of those that have been actively followed. He's made a name for himself in terms of the work that he's done, particularly in the war of 2014 going into 2015. Now, that was a debilitating attack once again by the Israeli forces on the Gaza Strip. In fact, some 2,500 people were killed and martyred, amongst them over 500 children, if my memory serves me correctly, in Ayat. Now, when that had occurred, he was one of those doctors who were in the heart of the Shifa hospital, alongside people like Dr. Matt Gilbert, uh, putting that message out through social media, primarily at that time through Twitter. Now it's changed to X, but on Twitter, getting those messages out, getting the pictures out, letting people understand what was actually happening inside of the Shifa hospital. He then moved on and started something called the Save Gaza Project, along with some of his colleagues and friends. And this was a result of a heinous attack that Israel carried out on the very last day of the 2014 war, where things were beginning to round up. They attacked an empty school for children that are physically challenged and with various disabilities. The school was empty, it posed no threat whatsoever. There were no armed people around it. And yet, as an act of spite, right on the very last day of that war in 2014, this particular school and institution was bombed and destroyed. The Save Gaza project, headed by Dr. Basel Abuwarda, started out of that, coming into 2015, 2016, to begin to restore and rebuild this hospital. And along with that, provide children that were physically challenged with the necessary aid and equipment for them to continue some kind of normalcy in life, and alhamdulillah, out of that, the school was refurbished, and a lot of the equipment reached and were given to the children so that they could continue with their lives. Much of what has been done there has actually been covered through Al Jazeera and other international mainstream news outlets because of the significance of the action, the ghastly action that was carried out by the Israelis at that particular point in the war. So a lot of experience in the trauma units of the Shifa hospital and generally in the life of occupied Palestine and the Gazan people in particular. Dr. Basel Abuwarda comes with all of that experience. And in this particular crisis, Inayat, he's been in Germany. So thereafter, he left to continue his studies in Germany to become an advanced surgeon. And he started practicing there as the war broke out now in 2023. And since then, it has been a very, very difficult and tough time for Dr. Basel. He's lost 57 members of his family as of last week, and we just got news now in the last few days that, in fact, another member of his family had passed away and become a shaheed. And these include his parents who were in the Gaza Strip after October the 7th. So there's a lot of emotions inside of him. There's a lot that he wants to share with the South African public and with ourselves, with the community in general, everybody in South Africa. And I think that's the important thing, to know that this is a historical situation, and he comes with that right out of the Shifa Hospital. And inshallah, we look forward to another inspiring and motivating tour of South Africa, many towns that we're going to be visiting. And hopefully it will spur once again the kind hearts of the South Africans towards humanitarian action.
Well, certainly, and so I was looking at the poster as well, all the various towns that, and I'm sure they were carefully chosen as well as to why these towns, and towns like Newcastle, Pietermaritzburg. I see Soweto has also been on there, Middelburg has been on there. So a number of towns, Alhamdulillah, that, and starting off on the 14th in Soweto at Masjid Al Ansar in Orlando East. Just like you mentioned, Azhar, is this is now bringing a personal touch to the genocide that is unfolding in Gaza. The mere fact that this man has lost, and this is no small number, over 57 people, including his parents, that he's lost. And I'm sure that is going to be pretty impactful on its own.
Absolutely. Sometimes we get caught up in the numbers and in the statistics and in the politics that's happening out there. And we've got to follow those things. It's what's going to bring about change ultimately for the Palestinian people. But at the bottom end of it all, it's ordinary human beings. It's people like myself and yourselves. It's all of those journalists that have been killed, the paramedics, the doctors, the people on the ground, the humanitarian aid workers, the mothers, the fathers, the children, the imams in the masajid, people who are just going on with their daily lives. And this is what a genocide is all about. It's about eradication of people on the ground, of completely moving them out from their homes. It's ethnic cleansing. It's all of that. That the world or certain people within on the globe, certain countries, certain nations can't see that, certain governments in particular, that they can't recognize that. It just, it smacks of such hypocrisy. It's unbelievable. I think we're at a loss for words right now to begin to actually describe the hardness of a human being's heart, to see what's happening via the social media networks and the broadcasts that are happening, and not be able to react with sympathy and with care and with love and hope, to say that this needs to come to an end. We cannot continue, that the people of Palestine need justice, they need their freedom, they need their land, and they need to see a free Palestine very, very, very soon. And I think that is what people like Dr. Metz Gilbert a couple of months or weeks ago, people like Dr. Basel Abuwarda bring to the table when they come for these tours. They're not here just to, talk about the political solution, but basically they're here to tell the story, the ordinary, forgotten Palestinian person right there at the bottom of the ground, the child that's been killed. These are the stories that they're going to bring to the fore, and we look forward to Dr. Basel's trip, inshallah. As you said, it's starting on next week, Wednesday, the 14th, up until the 22nd in Soweto. Then on the 15th, we go to Roshni, which is the Inyata hall just outside of Roshni. Then we come back to one of the bigger functions, the Image Lifestyle Hall here at 7:30 on Friday evening, the 16th. And then we leave the Gauteng province, going to Middelburg, another strong, good community, taking a road trip basically, going then to Newcastle on that Sunday and Pietermaritzburg on Monday, and then another big program out in Durban at the NMJ Hall on the 20th before we leave to actually visit Cape Town. There'll be 2 days in Cape Town. We'd like to give Dr. Basel an opportunity to have a little bit of a rest there also on the 21st, and then a big event on the 22nd out at the Islamia College in Cape Town.
Well, Azhar, obviously, it's going to be a very, very busy week. But once again, we are fortunate in South Africa through organizations like yourself, through people like yourself in Colors of Hope, being able to bring people like Dr. Basel Abuwarda to South Africa. We know at this point in time, we've got Dr. Azam Tamimi also in South Africa, courtesy of Palestine Information Network or Salaam Media. Obviously, we're involved with the Dr. Mes Gilbert tour. And we know about the Palestine soccer team that landed in Cape Town yesterday as well. So in South Africa, alhamdulillah, we are in good stead that we are able to bring all these people to South Africa to expose our audiences, our communities, our people, society at large to people like this. And this is the reason why South Africa still maintains that strong sense of activism, humanitarian activism, and more importantly, embracing humanitarian causes, Azhar.
Absolutely. Now, there's a lot that's wrong with South Africa. We know about that. The elections are coming up. But on this particular issue, our leaders and our government has got it right. We are on the right side of history, and it will forever be noted. It will be there on the internet, in the history books, that when it mattered, in this particular matter, South Africa stood on the correct side of history. And it's a shame, really. It's a shame that within our borders still we have people that we need to convince, that we need to make them understand. We need to show them, despite all of the ghastly images and what's happening, we still have to try and explain to them what a genocide means. But with tours like this one and those that have passed already and are currently taking place, we hope to get that message across that the ordinary Palestinian can speak to the ordinary South African and make that connection.
Azhar, what do people need to do wanting to attend all the events?
Yeah, so it's a free event. There's no charge at all involved in any one of them. It's open to the public. Obviously, right of admission is reserved, so we wouldn't appreciate any troublemakers. But nonetheless, it's free admission. People can come. Most of the programs are starting from 7:30 onwards. I think it's just the Cape Town one that is at 6:30, and the Newcastle one that's on a Sunday afternoon at 3 p.m. They can go to our Instagram page or to the Instagram page of Colors of Hope, and all of the information is listed there. Obviously, this interview will be shared, and I've seen you've been putting up the little poster there with all of the dates and venues. We really appreciate that. That also will be sent out, inshallah, to all of the communities, and people can try and make their way down and participate.
Well, Azhar, we wish you well. We wish Colors of Hope well, who have partnered with you in this initiative, and I'm sure it's going to be a huge success, inshallah. And yes, looking forward to meeting up with Dr. Basel Abu Warda. For now, my brother, have a wonderful Jummah ahead, inshallah, and all the best to you. Allah accept, Allah reward your efforts. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Alaikum salam wa rahmatullahi.
Azhar Vadi, Director of Salaam Foundation, was us this morning. And just to reiterate, from the 14th to the 22nd of February, Dr. Basel Abu Warda from Soweto to Roshni to Joburg, Middelburg, Newcastle, Pietermaritzburg, Durban, Cape Town. Take note, this is going to be the tour of under the hashtag Palestine Leads, together with Salaam Foundation and Colors of Hope. We're going to go for a break. We come back. We've got Amal's Munira Osman standing by.